Well, what do we have here? This is my Chinese elm, the one that is kind of unusual. I made the trunk go up and then come back down. Well, that's not the main focus of today's chapter. Today's chapter is, when should you repot? Well, this one here is a Chinese elm, so it should go 3 to 5 years. I think it went maybe 5 years plus. Well, what happened was I was checking my nursery the other day, right after the rain, and I see standing water. That's a bad sign that it's not draining. So it's not one of those where, well, I could take care of it in the future. I better take care of it now. So it's easily said than done. Well, so I noticed that the water was standing in this pot. Well, there was a little lip on it. So anyway, that's a really bad sign that it's not draining at all. So I decided I better take care of it. Well, I got started about 3 days ago. And then I was trying to get it out, but it wouldn't come out. Well, these are some of the tools that I have to use, but I couldn't do it quickly either. I took this short sickle and then went around the outer edge and kind of got done, but it was still too wet. So another day, and then finally I got down to the point where maybe about halfway down, and then I could now pop it out of the container. Well, you know, you've seen me take these out of a 15-gallon or something like that, and I just take my reciprocating saw and cut the bottom, and they'll pop out. Or I could take my rubber mallet and hit the sides and then make it come out. Well, this is kind of a valuable bonsai pot and a nice tree. So I didn't have that kind of option. So I had to take it slow and easy. Plus, it's kind of getting heavy. You could see how deeply I have to go, right? I have to go all the way down here to pop it out. And this thing is so compacted, that's why it's not draining anymore. Well, at this point, it's not that hard. I just bring my electric battery power reciprocating saw and cut off 1/3. 1/3 is a good rule. 1/3 is non-stress point. You start going half and over, there's always the problem of creating this stress. So anyway, I'll go get the saw and cut the bottom part. This one here is really taking a long time. I'm feeling some big roots that I'm cutting. The other difficulty is, you know, when you have nice branching, you don't want to break that either. So anyway, I'm still struggling, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done. Well, look at that. Maybe it's been more than 5 years. Who knows? And looks like I cut about half of it off. That's not too bad either. You'll still come right back. So I'm going to take this top part and start raking around the outside edge, scratch up the bottom, put fresh soil, and put it back. Nothing to it. Okay, I just took the saw and put some cut marks. Makes this part easier, see? Yeah, this is one of those really fun jobs. I'm going to go all the way around. Make sure, see these that coiling, they get taken care of. And the bottom gets scratched. Then just goes back in. Nothing to it. It's only been a 3-day project. Of course, I haven't been working on it. Just waiting for this thing to dry out. Yeah, there's a biggie right here. So those are the problems that I had to deal with right away and then put back. But this is a Chinese elm, so it's really hardy. I shouldn't have any problem. Today is the tail end of January, so it's still deciduous. Should be, look at that thing. Okay, so that's what I'll do is just go ahead and clean this thing up and pop it in. I think I got everything worked out. Make sure there's no coiling left. Some of the big stuff that was on the outer edge got cut off, and it's ready to go back in that same pot. Now, I was assuming this was about 5, maybe it's longer that it's been in the pot. But one of the things about good bonsai, good Chinese elm bonsai, it should not be repotted too often. It should be healthy, but slightly root bound. If you don't have it slightly root bound, then the leaves will come out big and you'll keep losing your ramification. So that's kind of what I was doing, trying to hold off without repotting. But when you have a situation where there is definitely no drainage, it's an emergency case. So you gotta take care of that right away. And then as I get to the bottom of this root mass, I could start to smell that. Remember I said that if your soil starts to smell like the bottom of the stagnant pond, then it's time for repotting. Well, it's not that bad, but I could start to smell a hint of that. That means that the good bacteria that needs oxygen is being replaced by bad bacteria that will smell bad. So anyway, this was in need of a repotting, but don't go jumping the gun. And if you repot these things every 2-3 years, then you'll never get the leaves to get smaller, and then it's hard to get a ramification on your branches. Okay, I got it in the pot. And I'm just looking at this pot. It's a Chinese pot. Probably got it about 20 years ago. But you see the design on this thing? Remember my trip to Vegas when they were showing all these dragons? Well, this is the year 2024, and it's the year of the dragon. What a coincidence. Now, you think I could remember that this was repotted on the year of the dragon, so I could figure out how many years before I had to repot again? Not likely, because it seems like a easy thing to remember, but I got so many other things to remember that I'll never remember this. But anyway, I thought it'd make an interesting story. So what I'm going to do next is to kind of thin out. This one's in pretty good shape, but I'm going to thin out and trim to get ready for this growth cycle that's coming around the corner. Basically, what I'm going to do is to do this so that this is kept nice and tight. Looks like I've been taking pretty good care of this tree because it's really not thick like some of my trees have become over the years, right? So I'm just going to go and do that. And you've seen me do this hundreds of times, so I'll just get done. And unless I come up with some other thing I have to talk to you about, I think this will be it. So just basically fairly light trimming. Now, if this was an evergreen, we ended up taking about half of the root ball off, so we should thin out the top by a half. But on these deciduous, it's not that critical. Well, missed it right here. I was working on this branch, right? Well, that's what happens when you work alone and you have to keep looking at this little dinky monitor to see what I'm doing. Anyway, I'll get through with the whole thing and then we'll call it quits. One of the reasons why this is in a round pot is because I couldn't decide on the front. But you can see that this one went up and came back down. Don't even ask me what style this is because it's something that I just tried and it worked. So what I did was, this is the main tree, right? And then it went straight up. So I took it and then bent it back down and then wrapped it around this trunk. So the apex is actually way down at the bottom. Apex is down here. So it went up and come back down. Now, we've tried other species. Others don't work very well. For some reason, Chinese elm is very forgiving about which is the top and the bottom. I think I told you, Fred and I, 20 some odd years ago, we did the hardwood cutting upside down and it took. Well, so in this year of the dragon, I just finished repotting this. That was in dire need of repotting because it quit draining. So what you need to do is to keep an eye on things, and a few indicators where you actually must change the soil is when it quit draining like this one. And other times you'll start to see gradual kind of weakening of the plant. Normally, you know, when you fertilize, they perk up, but if it doesn't do that, then it's most likely your soil. But having said that, I think you don't want to repot very soon. Don't change the soil too often, because if you do that, you end up with a very hardy tree and fast growing. The leaves are big and the ramification will be difficult to maintain. Okay, so this has been the Chinese elm in dire need of repotting. So I just did this in the tail end of January of 2024, the year of the dragon. And it's bonus time. Well, these are some of the big roots that I cut off when I was raking out the root ball. This big one over here, I might try to get it to root. Others will work if I was in need of more material, but I'm trying to cut back, right? But this one in the middle, the big one, I think is worthy of the time. But these over here, that bottom part that I cut out, it's all gunky and solid. Well, I cut them up into little pie shape, and if I put these in just regular nursery can, I bet a lot of it will come up. Now, the best way would be if I had taken that whole root ball, washed it out, and cleaned it, and then I could have probably saved some really good roots. But like I was saying, I'm no longer in need of material. Plus, it's really cold out here today. We're still in the tail end of January, and although today's supposed to warm up a little bit, but it's cold, so I'm going to forget it. So I think I will save that one in the center and then chuck the rest. Okay, that was your bonus.